This presentation is on the gamification of learning by Jacqueline Cook. So, what is the gamification of learning? Gamification of learning is defined as the use of game design elements in non-game contexts. So basically what it means is it's an attempt to engage students through learning presented in a gaming format. It appeals to students through the use of similar games that students use outside of school. Now, the term gaming itself is kind of a large umbrella. It could mean anything from similar to a board game type of game, or the use of flashcards, memorization techniques. There isn't really one specific game type that they mean when they are referencing gamification. So here's some gamification sites that are used today. There's Quizlet, Quizzes, Kahoot, Bluekit, Study Island, and Gimkit. I have used all 6 of these in my classroom before, but I wanted to focus on the top 3 that I have seen used within our school district. So the first one is titled Quizlet. Quizlet is like a flashcard type of website. You can find different types of content on there made by either students or teachers. What's nice about Quizlet is it is shareable. So you can make a Quizlet flashcard genre or a Quizlet flashcard group for characterization traits, and you could share that across districts, you could share that across the nation. It is more aimed towards study prep, memorization, preparing for a test. It isn't really in a game type mode as much as some of the other ones are. Bluekit is what's next. I've used this in my classroom extensively over the last year due to the pandemic and distance learning, and my students have really responded well to it. There are multiple choice questions that come up, and students have to click on the right answer in order to earn tokens. It is competitive in nature in that there is a leaderboard that goes up. There are new game modes that come out often. For example, there was a game last year called the game mode on Bluekit was called Tell No One, and it was comparable to a pretty popular game that students were playing on their phones. So that seemed to grab the students' attention. What's also really nice about Bluekit compared to, say, like Gimkit or Kahoot, is that there's not really a time limit on the question, whereas on Kahoot, sometimes you only have like 10 to 15 seconds to answer the question. So Bluekit, even though it is competitive, you can kind of go at your own pace. And then Study Island is the last website that I'd like to focus on that I know is used in our district. It is good for larger passages and problems. The other two, Quizlet and Bluekit, it's mainly used for more shorter multiple choice questions that are not based on any sort of passage. Study Island, you can put an entire passage as a question and students have to really take their time to focus on it. You have a couple different modes, the game or study mode. Students really can go at their own pace and they do not get deducted for time. So what are some of the pros of gamification of learning? It increases engagement, increases cognitive development, there's an increase in carryover to practice at home, and it creates a positive and engaging classroom environment. I know just from using gamification of learning in my own classroom, students loved using Blue this past year. They got really excited when they saw Blue on our agenda for the day because they knew that it would really be a chance for us all to kind of come together and have that little bit of competitive nature. Also, I feel like it kind of leveled the playing field because there were times that some of the winners in um, Blue they were not ones that maybe talked a lot in class, so they kind of got their shining moment. I also have seen that students are more willing to do their homework or practice at home if there's kind of like a game, little bit of gamification to it, so they seem to like that. And then it uses a lot of different parts of the brain to be able to answer questions quickly and learn the material and increase engagement instead of just looking at worksheets. One of the cons, or some of the cons of gamification of learning, is that there's really not a lot known about it right now. Educational gaming websites are coming out at an exponential rate. So even though there is research being conducted to see, does it really help retention rates? Does it really help memorization? Those types of things. Really, the websites themselves are coming out at such a rate that even the research can't keep up with it. Of course, there's a learning curve to teaching students how to play these games, and then some games have social media aspects which some districts are opposed to. So some of the games may inherently be blocked through the SIPA filter because they have certain aspects to them that would be flagged under like a social media component. These are all my references. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at Jaclyn, Jaclyn, at mwsd.cc to ask me any questions. I do hope that you learned something about the gamification of learning from this PowerPoint presentation, and I do also hope that you take into consideration how beneficial the gamification of learning could be for our students in the future.